And we're live. We're hopefully live. This is Molten Chat. Hello. Hello. We usually spend the first few seconds just trying to work out whether you can hear us. I hope you can see us. Me and Stefano. I hope you can hear us. Say hello, Stefano.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Please just say in the chat if you can hear us, and then we'll kick off for real. And just in the meantime, I'll just go bum bum ba-dum. Let us know that you can hear us, and we will start everything else. Hi, Scooter Man. I'm really sorry to hear that you're feeling like that today. Frank, you were the first here. You've been here for about 40 minutes, so well done. I think I've put some money behind the bar so you can help yourself to something, which will be good. Yeah, all good. Somebody says, James, thank you for saying that. That's great. In that case, we will kick off. So hello, this is Wednesday night, I think. I don't know which number chat this is. It's been a few now, but I'm here with Stefano Manconi from Bastl Instruments, also the designer behind the Kompas module, and musician, modular performer, general happening guy. How you doing today, sir?
I'm going awesome. What about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Been enjoying these things that we've been doing. We've had a good crowd. We've got people turning up now, which is nice to see.
Cool.
And so the plan for this evening is to chat a bit about modular, chat a bit about your modules, chat a bit about Bastl, about Superbooth or not. Whatever it is that comes to mind, please, if you have questions burning questions yourself, please put them in the chat, and I'll do my best to pick those out and throw them around. So
cool.
Yeah, so we'll kick off with, I think, have you been to Superbooth before?
Yeah, I did. I've been last year, and where I actually presented the module I designed for Bastl is this one. It's called Kompas, and this is a little instrument I started to develop, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago. I did everything on and part of my research because I was still studying at the university, and this actually came out with my bachelor, so with my thesis, and was just a small project. Yeah, so I've been there to show this stuff and help the rest of the crew to set up the booth. I think it was really cool. We brought there tons of plants and this kind of stuff, and I think we did a really nice job, actually, like on the appearance, let's say, or on the aesthetical perspective. Have you been there?
Yes, I've been a few times. It's always a good time, an amazing place to absorb the energies of other people, to meet people, to see sparkly boxes and things that go buzz and bing. So yeah, it's an extraordinary event. There's nothing, I don't think anything else quite like it. But of course this year it's been very, very different. And for a lot of people sitting at home, though, it's been very similar in as much as you're just absorbing videos and content off the internet. But it doesn't have the same energy, perhaps. But there's a heck of a lot of information and stuff out there. I mean, how big a crew does Bastl take to Superbooth? Is it a big event for you, or is it just a passing thing?
Yeah, actually, it's no, that's for sure. That's the biggest event we take part, and that's actually the only event we can't miss. And I think we went there since 2014, maybe. But I've been there only last year. I never been before. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, we still like to do presentations and workshops at other fairs and smaller events, but for sure the Superbooth is the biggest out there.
So how long have you been working at Bastl?
I've been working, let's say, discontinuously in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Because it all started when I moved to Czech Republic for studying. and then I met them. I met this crazy crew, and I was doing everything to, to get into the team, because yeah, they were doing really exciting stuff, and was also the time that Peter Casper moved. Like we moved, yeah, the same month, I guess. So I met Casper
Right.
like really soon. Yeah, and at the beginning I was just hanging out with them, and then my luck was that they were working on a MIDI controller, which is called 60 knobs, which I
Oh
have
yeah, yeah, yeah.
here.
No,
Yeah,
I remember. Yes, that seemed
yeah,
a bit of a
this
departure.
the, that
Yeah, that's it.
stuff. So they were looking for somebody which would develop the software, let's say the
Hmm.
editor, the software to be able to map the device and this kind of stuff. And so I basically did it in Max MSP.
Right.
They were
Yeah.
just asking. They were just wondering if somebody in the crew was able to do such a thing, and I tried, and I made it. So then I've been more part of the team. Let's say I wasn't part of the team yet, but after this little job, let's say,
Mm.
then
So it gives off the impression of being a community of artists, very much in that sort of vein. Is that how it works? Is it just a group of individuals coming together? Is that the sort of the reality of working at Bastl?
yeah, it is. I mean, it's. I mean, Bastl is in Brno, which, if you've been there, you can notice that beside it's quite might seem big as a city, but it's actually not at all. And after a couple of months, you will know everybody there. So it was called kind of community. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was this thing of associating Bastl to a community, and was basically because all the people around the city will somehow at some point have something to do with Bastl, because when it started they were involved in projects like art galleries and this kind of stuff when they were not making instruments yet. It was not even called Bastl. It was called the Standuino project, which
Okay.
eventually made some instruments, but are impossible to find. But was more about art galleries and all these, yeah, like let's say artsy related topics or
Yeah.
interest.
Well, it gives an interesting spin to things. I mean, there's a lot of engineering in Eurorack in particular, and there's always it's always something special comes out when a more creative side is put into that engineering mix, or at least I find. It's like I spoke to people like Gertz from Erica Synths, and he's very much sees himself more as a visionary rather than an engineer, which is interesting. And I think you need that kind of meeting of electronics with artistry and creativity. And I think that's that which starts to bring up something interesting, something special from that relationship, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's also because since now, I mean, we can say that the market of Eurorack is now really crowded of brands.
Hmm.
So in my opinion, what makes the difference in between one brand and another is more the uh, personal statement they bring, because actually these instruments, particularly in the Eurorack universe, uh, the modules begin to carry more a personal statement rather than a scientific, professional, let's say, 100% engineering product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No,
And
that's very interesting that you say that. I like the idea of modules having personalities. I mean, I think you can see in in the modules released by Casper that definitely has a vibe, a particular thing that Peter does very very well. Um, yeah, I think that that somehow radiates from his products. Um, yeah, so tell us. So give us the tour then of the compass. I can give people a. I think if I try hard enough, right? I did this the other day and it didn't work quite so well. I'm going to give it a go. This is the compass. It's a probability generator that looks a bit like that. Three knobs: latitude, altitude, longitude, which is all very interesting. And then you've got three CVs in and trigger out, or is it the other way around? No, that's right. Three in and three triggers out, clock and reset. That's kind of the idea. So yeah, tell us a bit more about it.
well, from I don't know, more from the technical perspective, or
However you like, really. I mean, where did the idea spring from? How have you been using it, and how did it become a reality in terms of being a module?
yeah. So basically, because as I already said, I was programming a lot in MaxMSP, which was the tool with which I was also playing music. Then after I started to work with Bastl, I was getting some modules, so I started to be interested to see how the Eurorack was working, and the first thing I thought was like looking at this, for example, 8-step sequencers or this kind of stuff. I was like, damn, I like Max because I can do all this generative stuff and probabilistic operation and all this stuff. And I was missing such a thing in Eurorack. So then I started thinking, okay, but is that hard to actually build? I mean, I was asking myself if I could manage to build such a tool for Eurorack, because I was bored. I was sick of playing with a laptop.
Mm.
So then I simply used I simply tried to translate some patches I was working with in Max to the Eurorack, let's say, universe. And I just grabbed an Arduino, I started coding it, and this was the first step. I mean, I at the back in the time, I wasn't even thinking about releasing it as a product. It was actually just a tool for myself, for my gigs, and that's it. But then it came more into then it became a real product actually, and I'm really happy for that.
Nice. I mean, did you find? I mean, he says it sort of came out of your live performance. I mean, what sort of gear were you using live up until that point? You talk about having a laptop. Were you mixing laptops with other things, or was it all sort of Ableton Live based, or how were you performing?
No, I was using just the laptop, and I was using mostly synthesis. Never, I never been a huge fan of samples,
Right.
but until then, I mean, now I found out a cool way to use samples. Now I'm fan of samples again, but yeah, at the beginning a lot of synthesis and generative processes, and yeah, just a laptop and yeah, programming language, and that was it.
So how easy was it to move from the relative safety of a laptop, I suppose, into hardware? Was that an easy transition for you?
Uh, it was it somehow I would call it natural selection, because I was working on a new album with a friend of mine with a laptop, and I was using some algorithms for binaural spatialization, and I came to the point that my laptop couldn't run these things anymore because it was keeping crashing. So I got super pissed by that, and I was like, okay, let's screw that and let's start again from scratch. And that's how I started using a modular Eurorack more and more and more. And actually, it's easy because if you are used to program with max MSP, it's still a matter of
Right.
patching.
Yes.
Just the difference is that with Eurorack you have to deal with so many limitations, and that's actually the cool thing about Eurorack, that you need to, you need to really get the best out of the few modules you have. And but I remember one thing that was actually disappointing me at the beginning was the fact that to route patches. If you are used to max MSP, everything is buffered, but in Eurorack, if you start stacking banana cables, after the second one you stack, it's all screwed, like even clock, so you need to get either tons of buffered multiples or try some other workaround. This was the only thing, but I think I somehow managed to.
Yeah, there's something very real about that. There's something very real about running out of voltage. Your cable's not being able to carry enough signal to make something happen. There's something. I don't know. There's something that you get taught, you get schooled in how to do these things. It's like when you're trying to run too many modules on not enough power and things start to just go strange. You don't really get, what you get with computers is things just stop working, I suppose. But there's something about, if only you can just grab a little bit more power or molt something up, as you say, with a buffered molt, you can then restore the levels of voltage, or you cope with something which is less. Like, for instance, I've done a bit of going DC coupled from a laptop into modular, and some audio interfaces can only handle a couple of volts, and so you get your modulations and bits and pieces are restricted to 2 volts or 2 octaves or something like that. But you work with it, or then you can boost it through an amplifier and suddenly you get a larger range of stuff. It's remarkably organic in that you can boost and lower stuff. It's just a remarkable format. I don't quite know anything like it.
Yeah, actually, if I can point, how to say, I would like to point out a question which I was discussing with some friends, some other Eurorack heads. We were discussing about the thing, is Eurorack standard? I don't know. What do you think about that? Is Eurorack a standard?
Well, there's probably much brighter people than me who can answer that kind of question. I mean, from my experience of it, it is more or less. I mean, there are conventions, I think, more than standards. There are conventions that people tend to stick to, whether it's plus or minus 5 volts, although it could be plus or minus 10 volts. Excellent. So, early on, I hit a lot more problems than I do now with things like the Mother 32 and why that didn't behave with another sequencer, why its clock seemed to be completely screwed, why the BeatStep Pro that I got quite early on, that would run everything at 1,000 miles an hour, and it would frustrate me the amount of menu diving I had to do in that device to get it to play nice with other things. Let alone that trying to connect things up to a laptop or back again. I found, I think, quite quickly that staying within the ecosystem was always the best possibility. To stay within modular. Once you start trying to put other bits in it, then it started to run into trouble. But on the whole, I think with most modern modules, they do their best to conform to those sorts of accepted standards. But there's no real reason. There is nothing written in stone, and there are things that surprise you from time to time.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, I think this question was came from the fact that as we were talking about these voltages and this thing which dropped, because then from an engineering perspective, you, I mean, if you dig more into schematics and this kind of stuff, you
Mm.
see that actually each brand has I mean, there is, let's say, a general idea of a standard, but then there are there are a lot of brands which they use their custom input impedances
Right.
or their levels, and so then you you end up with a really like personal instrument. I mean, the rack you build
Yes.
is very personal, but at the same time, I mean, you, let's say from customer support perspective,
Mm.
it's sometimes it's hard to dig into the problem when you know, okay, your module is not working with this module, but with this one it is. And I think it's sometimes is might be a trouble for some brands or for all
Yeah.
brands. I mean, uh,
Yeah. Oh,
for
undoubtedly. I mean, I've come to realise that I can't just swap out, I don't know, say a filter or a VCA and expect it to behave in the same way. You know, every different module has its own personality. You know, as you mentioned before, that you kind of have to get to grips with. You have to learn. I mean, there's a case, and also you have to put up with things and just go, oh, it's all right. So,
yeah.
like, you might plug something in, and just the tone will change or the pitch will change just slightly somewhere, and you don't know why. There's no reason me plugging this in that should change that, but somehow it does. And so you just go, that's all right. I'm just going to go with it. It's fine, because there's no fixing it, because it's just it's just the way of things. And I think people perhaps making the jump from software can find that awfully troubling, I think. Yeah.
I don't know.
But no, tech support, I imagine, is a nightmare, because as you say, there's so many ways things can happen and people can patch things, and then there's the level of knowledge that you need to get hold of in order to start patching in the first place, because it's not simple and intuitive necessarily. There are a few you know, ways you have to, a few hills you have to climb, I think, before you get the hang of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probability then, it was your bag. You
Yeah.
were looking for. So tell us about the longitude, the latitude, and the amplitude. How do the three pathways in the compass module, how do they relate? Because I'm never quite sure that I've grasped that entirely. So yeah, go.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, so when I started with the compass, basically,
Oh, look out! Here we go. Here we go.
mm, so basically the algorithm which is behind each coordinate, there is basically a cloud of randomness. So there is a cloud basically, and imagine there is a cloud and it's rain, and then you collect this rain with a funnel, and here you have let's say, so you have here it's your probability funnel. Can you read?
Yeah, I can. I don't know
There is
about
no. Oh,
anybody
cool.
else. That looks all right to me. That's fascinating.
And then you have your pattern roll, which is you just have this roll of paper where your
Yeah.
rain is dropping,
Uh-huh.
and then this is cycling through the clock, and this is making basically your sequence. But okay, this was the artsy way to explain this.
Oh, that's
So,
totally
but
brilliant. That's totally brilliant. So you've got a rain cloud of stuff falling, which you're then applying a certain amount of control to. I suppose, is that the idea? You're putting boundaries on. I don't know, on the intensity of the chaos. Is that? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, cool.
It was an outage at my end. Okay, it's coming back in now. Oh, darn it. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. You are back. No, you're stuck again. You were back there for a moment. I've lost you again. Oh, rats. What's going on? Come on, damn it. Stream, that's working. Stream is working. I'm sorry, am I talking to myself? I have no idea. I've lost Stefano again. I'm sorry about that. We had an internet glitch at my end, which kicked us all out. But I've seen movement. I think we might be back in. Are we back? Yep. I think we are. Good. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
That.
Yeah.
I can hear you, mate. Sorry about that. It all went a bit
that's fine.
on.
That's cool. That's cool. So I was saying, like every time you twist a knob, you generate an array of random numbers.
Okay, gotcha.
And then and then these numbers you just compare. It's just minor. It's just a logical compare to the value of the pot, and this decides basically the pattern, and the pattern is gonna loop again until you change it again.
Right.
But regarding the relationship, the only relationship it's altitude.
Right.
So
right.
I will show you. So if the latitude is basically am I there?
Yeah, you're just about there. I'm just going to have to make an adjustment.
I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, hang on a sec. I'm going to make an adjustment to the Oh, the internet. We love the internet. It's just the most fabulous thing. So I have you in kind of a bit of a jerky way.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Hello, I can hear you. You seem to have lost me. Is that true?
I can't see myself.
Hello, Stefano, can you hear me? This has all gone a bit weird. I'm sorry about that. Can anyone in chat world let me know that this is still working for you at your end? I am sorry about technical difficulties. Stefano seems to be still connected. He's just struggling with the... I don't know. I'm getting sound through, not so much on the video. The chat seems to have disappeared or ground to a halt, one or the other. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just here talking to myself. I guess that would be a thing. The that seems to be working. That's happening. Good connection I'm getting. Well, Stefano is he's there, he's not there. You're partly there. I think our connection to each other is not that great this evening. You can't hear me. That's really frustrating. But you You are certainly still there. The chat is not it's not helping me at the moment. It's not telling me if anything's happening. No, unable to connect to chat. All right, I think it does give me a good connection. Excellent connection. So, this is not going well, sadly. Sadly, this is not going as well as one would like it to. How can I restore this? I just don't think this is going to work. I've got it. It says excellent connection. It's like, can I pause in? God darn it, that's frustrating. See, it appears, I mean, as far as I can see on the chat. I mean, on the chat doesn't seem to be working, but does seem to be working on screen.
Now I can hear you.
Great. Okay, Stefano, you seem to be back.
Oh, cool.
I've no idea whether everybody else can see us or hear us at the moment. The chat has not responded to me since I had the drop, but it does. But YouTube is telling me that I have a good connection, and it's just having a think about things. And let's see whether it recovers in the preview. If I go to the actual thing, there is something going on. Yeah, you're gonna have to clap for my connection tomorrow. Yes, that's very true. All right, well there's something going on. There's more of that. You can see and hear us both. Good. It's my chat then that seems to be broken. Let's not worry about it. Let's just go on as if nothing has happened. Cool. You can hear us. Good. You're both moving and seemingly okay now. Good. Okay. Right. Yeah. So you were talking about probability. We were talking about rain clouds of stuff coming funneled through onto a pattern, which is a loop that's looping round, and how you can affect those changes with altitude, which is one of the knobs on the compass. We'll get to the end of the story one of these days.
So you have the latitude, altitude, and longitude. Okay, these are the three coordinates, and the latitude it's full random. So this is all random over 32 steps.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Then the longitude it's random over Euclidean. That's the longitude. And this random. So the randomness applied to the Euclidean, it's this Euclidean is actually it's 32 steps, but the Euclidean is only 16 steps. So what it does, it takes this and it does this twice.
Right. Yes.
But
doubles that up.
applying the randomness, and with the knob of longitude, you set both the number of steps of the Euclidean and the probability over it. That's all you set with this knob.
Okay.
And so talking about the relationship in between what is altitude. Altitude basically looks at these two. It looks at both latitude and longitude, and it does something like if basically if both are either on or off at each step, then there is a chance that altitude will trigger out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I know this is like a weird logic because it's not a basic logic operation because this is looking if okay, let's say uh, just have some colors, lat and long. So this says if lat uh, equals long. So if this statement is true at each step, then there is a chance that with the probability this will trigger out. Does it make sense now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the what would perhaps would be interesting would be to talk about the reality of that. I mean, from my perspective, I'm very much a fiddler. I'm not trying to do anything deliberately necessarily. I'm trying to achieve something. So when I plug it in, so I run it next to, well, I plug it into a number of things, but I've been plugging it into an ADAC T Networks 104, which creates blips of various pitches. So I've been dumping it directly into there. And I find that it's just through an experimentation of moving those knobs about that it then starts to find a groove. And sometimes I'm certain that the top one is going to give me the kick drum, and it doesn't really. And I then sort of swap things around because there's something else which is giving me the thump that I need, and everything else is just playing with itself somewhere else. And that's great. I mean, I find it enormously. It's a little creative module that allows me just to fiddle a bit, and out of that will come little moments of fantasticness. I mean, I find it needs to go. I need to pump. I need to work it quite hard. I need to work it quite fast, I think, in order to give me the range of stuff that I'm after. But that's no problem at all. I mean, otherwise it can be a little bit light and a little bit too occasional if it's running too slow, if that makes sense. I mean, how do you use it within your rack?
I usually use it. Basically the longitude for the kick drums, and basically as I shown in the demo video, like in the product video.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a kick drum, hi-hats. This altitude, it's cool because I could it for bass lines. Or because since it is related to the Euclidean, then you have you build this relationship kick and bass. Or other cool way, it's for example for the ghost notes. For example, if you have some snare going on there and you want to put some ghost notes to this snare, that's cool too, because you basically put these ghost notes in between the kicks. But I do a lot of stuff with envelope followers, and I combine several triggers together, and I think a compass is great too for this. Right. Because, for example, I can. Okay, now this is not fully patched. I have only one channel, but I don't know if you can. Can you hear something?
I cannot.
You cannot.
Oh, there is something. Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe I can increase the volume a little. Better?
There's definitely something there.
Okay. What about?
Yeah, it's only a little
Nothing?
bit. Well, no, not nothing. There is a little bit there. Yeah, it's getting better all the time.
Tell me, is it an hi-hat? Does it sound like an hi-hat?
It does. Okay. Yeah, there's some sort of hi-hat in there somewhere.
What if I raise up a little bit more?
Yeah.
Is there? Okay, cool. Uh, so basically, I have one sample in the grandpa, uh, and this sample it's basically a sample of a open hi-hat.
Yes, gotcha.
But because the compass is a trigger sequencer, so it outputs a trigger, so the trigger is not long enough to gate the whole sample.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
the effect is that you hear just a closed hi-hat,
Yes.
but
Yes.
actually the sample is a open hi-hat. And then what I do is that if you let me grab. So if I grab a banana cable and take a channel from my knit rider, let's say D. So here I have another gate source, and what I do, I basically I take the output from compass
Mm-hmm.
and I stick it together in this banana cable. So now I have two trigger sources, one from compass and one from the knit rider, and this
Okay.
is
Yeah.
now gonna trigger my grandpa. So now if I go again, okay, close it ayat, and oh, let me move this. And if I want open ayat, I just put them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm totally getting that. I mean, maybe if you put your
So
headphones next to the microphone, we might hear more. Oh yeah, it's coming through. It's coming through.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
No, that's clever.
yeah.
I'm always looking for clever ways of doing things.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much is all I do with my like within Eurorack. I just try to stick several signals together
Mm-hmm.
to merge them and see, yeah, and see what you can do. There was another cool trick that I shown in the product video, which was about uh, all right. We said that these are CV inputs.
Yes.
So, but if you send a gate there, because you assume that a gate signal is basically a CV full amplitude,
Mm-hmm.
so then basically you are letting, I mean, if you feed the CV input with gates, and if these gates, if they come from the same clock source, then basically compass will just let triggers go through,
Yes.
go
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
here, and then you just use the probability to add the steps. And the cool thing about that is that because it is detected as a CV, every time a trigger hits, is also changing the randomness. So you have an evolving partner, pattern. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
an evolving pattern.
Mm-hmm.
This,
Well, well,
these
look.
are
What
pretty
I
much the tricks.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. What I can do just quickly, because there may be people here who have never really seen one in action. I can see whether can I be clever enough to do this. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to see whether I can stick up your demo from previous to see whether that would go out over the waves. Ooh. Yeah, I mean that's kind of it in a nutshell. You've got these three things going on that have this level of interconnectivity, which is interesting, and yeah, it's a remarkable thing. I mean, I've done a video on it. I built the kit version, which was good fun, and then did a video on what I discovered when trying to use it, and it's a regular feature within my rack of stuff that I do. All the time. It's a lot of fun to play with, and it's simple. It just does the thing. No video. Ah, oh, damn it! You see, no audio. Sorry, people were telling me there's no audio out there. I wonder. All right, I'm going to work on that. I'm still trying to work out this whole vMix thing. But they saw a nice picture. Now, if I was to do, all right, while I'm here experimenting, no, I can't turn that on. Okay, too hard. I'll have to look into that. Damn it! I'll get there one of these days. I'm going to be a master of this bloody thing. This time next year, right? But anyway, you saw some pictures of something happening, which was really nice. And I, as I say, I suggest that you go out there, watch the video that I did on it, particularly the demo at the end, and also watch Stefano's videos on it, because it is a remarkable little module, and has brought me a lot of fun and tinkering around in my rack. So tell us about your new album. Tell us about what went into that.
It's actually an EP, just 4 tracks, which I recorded this summer. Was the first thing I recorded as I moved back to my hometown, because now I'm again in Sardinia.
Right.
I decided to move back for a while, and but. Yeah, and so the EP is called Aloe Vera, and I release it also in this merch format, like in the plant, and it has basically a Spotify code where you can. So if you buy the plant, you can just scan it with your iPhone, and then or whatever phone, and then if you have Spotify, you can listen to it.
Nice.
And yeah, it was fun. But maybe we can listen to one track. Maybe can we?
I don't know. Give it a go.
Yeah, I have it on my phone. Just need some seconds. So yeah, basically I made it. It's only Eurorack and microKORG. I used the microKORG for some sounds, and yeah, but it's mostly Eurorack, and it's just recorded one take. I didn't do overdubs or stuff. I just plugged the recorder to the master bus of my mixer, and
Brilliant.
just did it a few times, and then I decided that was done, basically. Let me. Okay. So, can you hear something?
No. Sadly not.
Now?
No, unfortunately not.
Nothing. What?
No, I can hear a little bit of ticking. That's as close. I mean, could you put your iPhone up to your microphone or something? Something as simple as something as lo-fi as that.
Yeah, I can try that. This probably. Is that?
Yeah, that's coming through. I don't think it's doing you justice, though.
I don't think either. Okay, so maybe I can. Maybe let's. yeah, that this might work better, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you can all go and listen, put it in the
I'm
background
sorry.
while.
Hmm?
No, go, no, go.
Sorry.
I'll say people can put it in the background while, yeah, while we're talking
Oh,
from
yeah,
Bangkok.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what else to say about the record. I mean, I'm recording some new stuff, but it's still in the process. I don't know when it will be released yet. But
But it's great taking if you take mixes directly from essentially a live performance on your Eurorack, then you could be generating new stuff all the time, possibly. It's then filtering out what's good and what's bad, I suppose. But that, I mean, I find that particularly exciting about Eurorack is that immediacy of it. You could record an album in an afternoon. You know, it could be, it could work like that because you're not spending months of your life in post production in worrying about it and tweaking it and trying to adjust it and redoing bits, which inevitably seems to happen, I find, when working on a DAW. But when working with you know, something you've performed live and recorded straight off the master bus, as you say, that has the potential for being very fast and very fluid. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I mean, yeah, that's one cool thing about Eurorack. I mean, there is if you're using your rack to generate all the stuff, once you switch off the power, then it's gone. Like everything you did,
Yes.
it's gone.
Yeah.
But I think it's not only a matter of voltages or what is going on the device. I think it's also a matter that because, for example, when you switch it on, let's say the day after, maybe you didn't like the coffee in the morning, or you know, or maybe you woke up in a not really good mood, and then when you switch on your rack, it sounds like shit. So, but I mean, it's like. Yeah, I think it's I think when you compose music with Eurorack, you really need to catch the moment. I mean,
Yes.
if you have something which sounds nice, just push record, because then it's gonna be hard to get it again. As I said, I think it's also a matter of your mood and uh,
Mm.
and stuff. I mean, it's the environment which also changes. You know, it's not only the because otherwise we would listen to music just with the oscilloscope, wouldn't
Yeah.
we? That's
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So, do you have any tips for people looking to perform with modular? I mean, do you take your modular rig on stage when you perform? Is that something that you're into doing? Yeah. How much of
yeah,
a
yeah.
of a headache is that, or are you finding that smooth?
Uh, like the beginning was heavier because I used to have a wooden case. But
Right.
right now I switched. I just DIY'd this one. It's yeah. If I can give a tip, it's just the cheapest case for mixers you can find. It's about 20 or 30 bucks. You
Hmm.
just remove all the foam, all this stuff. You just screw the rails in it, and you have basically a 3 rows system. I think this is maybe it's 90 HPs, I guess, something like that.
Hmm.
I don't remember anymore, but it's much lighter to bring on stage. Um, Also fragile, but
Hmm.
much lighter.
And do you go pre-patched, or are you patching on the fly? Are you patching from scratch, or do you go with something already built, ready to go?
It depends because since I'm quite a lazy person, if I have to play a gig, let's say in if I'm going to play a gig by car, because it's, let's say, 1 hour of travel, then I would probably go patched with some friends and stuff. And but if it takes longer, then I would yeah, I would patch it during the sound check. But I
Okay.
don't do live patching. I mean, I was doing it at the beginning when I used to have a very small rack, but now I don't do it anymore.
So do you transition from one thing to another? I mean, are you sort of riffing off a single idea that's then developing, or are you do you have enough room in your rack to transition from one theme to another, or how does that work?
Well, I like transitions. I try to make as much transitions as I can, and recently I've been using. I was loading, let's say, some really long samples of pads, like
Mm.
to have these pads stuff just for the background, and then all the drums and all this stuff is uh, just programming like on live with improvisation. And also I do have a key step for controlling bass line and this kind
Hmm.
of stuff. So I still play the bass lines live, uh, just build some loops, and then I try to transition from one loop to the other in the smoothest way possible.
Mm.
That's I
Nice.
try to don't get one loop longer than 5 minutes. I think that's the maximum you can really go. But I mean, with a lot of variations like within, but still, I think 5 minutes. Okay, next song.
So what modules do you use for the sampling side of things?
I'm using the Grandpas, the Bastl Grandpa,
Oh right,
and
yes.
then yeah, and then for some smaller drums, I use the Erica Pico drums,
Yes.
and yeah, and then let's say the wall core of bass lines is just a lot of bubble sound stuff, like the VCOB, and of course through the various wave shapers. I have both the Bastl timber and the new Casper, the Waver module, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. It's
Mm.
really awesome. And then I would eventually play some chords with the Just Friends, which everyone knows that it's an epic module, and I use it mostly for envelopes, but it's cool also as an oscillator.
Right.
Harmonic oscillator is really cool for that.
Nice. So, should we
Yeah.
delve into the chat to see if there's any burning questions that anybody may have?
Yeah, of
Uh, I,
course.
I imagine. I mean, normally these guys just sort of talk amongst themselves and have their own little world of conversations. At least that's been my experience. But you never know. There could be something in there. Someone did ask early on whether there are any alternative firmwares to the Compass, or if you have any plans for tweaking or developing the software side at all.
I mean, there were a few. There were several firmwares I was working on some several versions, but yeah, at the moment they are on standby because it's matter of seeing if it's a small improvement or if it's, let's say, a major change, and still it needs to go to the, we still need to compare it to, let's say, to the numbers, because uh, yeah, when you work for a company, you need to look through the numbers and see like when it's worth to
Mm, mm,
do an upgrade or not. I mean, there are certain products of Bastl, for example, that they took several years to get an upgrade, but so that's the regular process. Kompas it's out just from 1 year, so I think it's
Yes.
really soon to say. And
Do you
yes.
have any ideas for new modules? Is that something that you're thinking about at the moment?
At the moment, I'm not thinking about new modules. I started developing. It was just a prototype. I was trying to think about if you guys know the Buddha machine box, those little
Yes.
boxes that they
Yes.
play. Yeah, I was thinking about something like that, but Buddha Machine Pro with CV with CV inputs and this kind of stuff, and not sample based, but with some generative algorithm. But
Oh,
still,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah. I
will
always thought
see
of it as
if
I thought it might be nice as a way to deliver an album. Was in in a little box with a little speaker on it. I thought that was quite a neat idea. But yeah, having something which is generative is also quite that's a very cool thought. I think.
yeah, thinking more about if you take for example the Buddha machine and like if you take it as it is and maybe if you think a way this little box could interact with the environment you are in, and
Hmm.
it's really simple stuff. It's just a matter of putting a microphone which could sense some sort of data. I don't know, could be like the noisiness of your environment or
Yes.
whatever, or and then you use this data to slightly change the loop. Then you would have a much because the Buddha box is meant to be, let's say, from my perspective, it is based on the concept of synchronicity. So you need it's more for yourself that you need to tune with that
Mm.
device,
Yes.
and also like the device tunes with you through the loop. So you need to get into this mantra, let's say, or no, probably that's not the right word, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for my English, but
No, no.
you need
I see where
to.
you're coming from. Yeah.
I think you need to mm, get into that moment, and so there comes the idea of having this little machine interacting more with you, like in a more active way, let's say.
Yeah. Interesting.
But
So in the chat, a couple of people have asked whereabouts you are and when you are next playing live.
uh, sorry, I couldn't hear the first question.
Yes, whereabouts in the world that you are. Whereabouts are you? And when will you next be playing live? Were a couple of questions.
Okay, so I'm based. Is this the question? Where I'm based?
Yes, where are you based? Where
Ah,
are
okay,
you?
okay, cool. I'm in Sardinia. Actually, I am in Sant'Antioco, which is a very small village. It's a small island in the bigger island, which is Sardinia, and I'm southwest. It's, yeah. So, because I know that a lot of people actually doesn't know where Sardinia is. So
Yeah.
if this is Italy,
Oh yeah.
so this is Sardinia, and I'm actually here. There is a
Oh nice.
small island here, and yeah. And regarding my next gig, I prefer to do not answer, but I appreciate the question.
Oh, all right, no worries.
maybe maybe next year you can ask me again.
Okay.
Uh,
Someone else asked, "What your opinion? In your opinion, what is the biggest cliche about modular synth community?" So, what's the biggest cliche in the modular synth community at the moment? Take that however you will.
In my opinion, the biggest cliche it's mm, I don't want to get tons of how to say, like, haters against me, but but I think one of the biggest cliches now, it actually comes from the oh, maybe I should center. I think are the these I see a lot of videos of guys putting camera on the facing the, the instrument and
Yes.
tweaking the knobs, and which is cool. It's totally fine, but I think it's really I think I might consider this a kind of cliche, because then, for example, when you look for some music, you get tons of videos of loops, and also you can't see the artist, you can't see who is playing. Yeah, I mean, it's not that important to see who is playing, but still, you when you scroll on, for example, on Instagram, you get basically a wallpaper of racks and racks
Yes.
and loops, like really cool loops, but I think it's not the same. I think it's more a showcase rather than a music making approach. So I don't know. So back to the cliche. I don't know if what's the goal of having these devices. If it's if it's meant to be an instrument for making music, or if it's an instrument more for your personal entertainment, and both ways are cool.
Hmm.
Are both ways are cool. Uh,
Yeah. No, I think that's interesting. I think that, I mean, often, certainly with Instagram, because it's only over in a minute, it's kind of more a fact of, oh, this sounds cool, quick. Let's get a shot of that and stick that out there. I don't know whether it's as any more premeditated than that, although some certainly is. I certainly agree that the artist, the performer, should be more present in modular stuff. There is a tendency, I think, because a lot of us are old duffers, I suppose, who don't exactly look like stars or interesting. We have a tendency to shy away from the camera and just let the instrument speak, and there is something in that as well. But as you say, you just end up with these lots of little loops. But I think it's we're trying to explore a way to how do you move from creating a cycle of music, a cycle of sound that you're adjusting, into turning that into some kind of movement of music. I think that's a challenge that a lot of us feel. It's something that we're all trying to head for, I think.
no, yeah. I mean, that's completely legit. I'm not against it. I just see how this practice got more and more, and because then as an artist which makes music,
Mm.
then it happens that you question yourself. Okay, okay, I make music with modular, which now is kind of hype, but how can I say that uh, I mean, why somebody should come at some of my gigs instead of to the gig of some another
Yes.
modular guy, and I think also this is the yeah, I think it's all about the showcase, because if you look at more let's say I don't want to say professional, but if you look at the music industry, other departments, they don't
Hmm.
really work this way. If you think more about live bands or this kind of stuff, there is not so much showcasing, I would say. I mean, still there is. I mean, there are the shredders and this kind of stuff,
Yes.
which are cool, but I think I think this is what I want to say is that this is just my personal opinion about or a question about how to push your music to another level.
Yes.
And I'm still working on it. So like I'm completely open for suggestions, and
But also,
I'm
how
just
do
trying
you?
to. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get heard? I mean, that's the other thing, because there is so much noise scrolling up your Facebook feed. Not noise, but people just doing their little bits. It's very difficult for someone who is attempting to push music through. It is hard to get heard because you tend to scroll through them, assuming it's just yet another thing. And unless it's beautifully shot, that tends to be the one that stands out. Something which is beautifully shot. I mean, there's a couple of people I follow. One of them's Jewel Tricks, I think his name is, and another one whose name escapes me. But they're always beautifully shot. There's a camera that's just slowly moving around on rails, and you just go, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic." So you always stop at his stuff. But whereas the rest of it is all a bit, ad hoc, I suppose. But it is hard. It is hard to get out there. I mean, I think the difference between people showcasing, I think that's a really interesting term. Actually, I'm going to think on that. Showcasing, yes, there is a bit of that. The difference perhaps is in perception. I think when someone is attempting to be a musician and an artist more than just someone who's fiddling with stuff and enjoying putting that out there. There has to be a change in perception, because it's not always. It's not. At least I'm finding when I discover a recording artist, it's not necessarily so much better than what somebody else is fiddling with, but the emphasis and the intent that comes across in trying to create an album and trying to create a flow of music, I think it's that ultimately elevates. But to get to that point where that tipping point happens, I don't know. That's difficult, and that's a struggle, I think, for people like myself who are constantly making bits of music. To actually, we have to make a decision ourselves that moves from becoming just a load of stuff that's going through into actually becoming a piece of music that would be performed or performable or releasable. But these things are changing all the time. The way the music industry is, the way that the perception of that is. It is interesting. I still have no answers to any of that in how one puts oneself forward, but
Yeah, totally. I completely understand, because actually with some friends of mine here, like from my same region, we started running a label.
Right.
And we did it basically to release our music, but we are trying to do it in the way it should be supposed to be done. I don't
Right.
know, that's what we are trying to do, and still discovering and learning a lot. And so yeah, one thing that we face most of the time uh, is, for example, how other kinds of music release their stuff. And I mean, we are not a modular crew. I'm the only one in this label which plays modular, and I also don't make that modular thing my statement, because as far as I know, here in Sardinia there are a couple of people which have Eurorack, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually never seen nobody playing live with Eurorack here, just somebody. And so it's also a matter of marketing and stuff. But I don't know. It's as you said, it's a very complex topic. It's hard to say which direction you should take.
Somebody else asks if modular is the new midlife crisis Harley Davidson. That's not really a question for you. I don't think you're old enough to be having a midlife crisis. It is for the rest of us. Yeah, oh no, totally, absolutely. I don't know. I mean, it is and isn't. I mean, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with buying a Harley Davidson and having a wonderful time? There's absolutely nothing wrong in getting into your 40s and your 50s and going, wow, bugger me, I've spent all my life working. It's about time I bloody bought something that I wanted. So, I see no shame in having any kind of crisis. I think the great thing about modular is it's such a creative process. It's like taking up painting, with really expensive brushes, but it's like an expression as opposed to being a knob on a motorcycle because you've got some money. You're actually investing in your own ability to create something. I find that I find that far more interesting to have a midlife crisis in modular than it is to, I don't know, have an affair or buy a motorcycle or a ridiculously posh car. I think it's more holistic, more interesting. And the other thing is that it's not a singular activity. You find yourself in a community of people that you weren't necessarily expecting to find. I don't think you find that. You can hang out with a bunch of bikers, I suppose, down at some cafe somewhere on the A1, but it's not the same. No, it's just not the same. So, I poo your idea of a midlife crisis. No, I don't think it's it. I think, in fact, this is the sort of thing that rescues us from that crisis, because it gives us a purpose and an intention and an exploration and something which has no end. I think that's all good. Well, there you go. That was nice.
I agree. I mean, crises are good, are tough, but are also good. They always bring something new, and I think we experience this in everyday life, and particularly in this moment that we are all aware of what is going on outside. Crises usually bring interesting stuff. So let's hope the best, and
how is Sardinia?
Keep going.
How are things down your way? Is it all passed you by, or are you in lockdown currently?
Yeah, we are still in lockdown. I managed to go to the grocery shop this morning, but I don't really count because I live in a really tiny village, and I just try to limit the way I go out. But I try to go for shopping once in a week, and by bike if I can, if I don't have too much stuff to carry. And but yeah, actually, I have to say that if you live here, like in the winter, it's not much different, except that now you know that you are in a lockdown. But if you go outside, like in winter, is actually like it's the same. But what makes this brutal is that you know that there are restrictions, and you know that you can, in the winter you can go outside and literally see no one. But the idea that tomorrow, if I go outside and I see no one, and I know that nobody's out because there are restrictions, that's different, and it's it puts some pressure on you. That's for sure.
Do you know how well Bastl's been doing during this time? Do they have enough stuff going on to keep themselves busy and afloat, or is it a dangerous time?
No, I think they are doing pretty good, actually, or like not pretty good, but I think they are keep going. They're keep going well. I'm in touch with them almost every day, but more for work-related stuff. But as far as I know, luckily for them, there are not so many restrictions as it happened in Italy. And I hope that's because they could somehow contain the contagious, or like and I'm happy for them, because they can still, of course, like there are all these limitations, but they can still manage to do some live stream with some concert and stuff. Like for us, it's
they have been doing.
You can only do it from your house. I can't just go.
Well, they had a couple of. Sorry, somebody asked me what beer I'm drinking. It's that one. That one today. Elvis juice. That one. Cool. But Bastl had some interesting things for us over the last week. They had the MIDI looper, and the iCarry, is it? Stereo filters being the thing of the show this year, as everyone had a stereo filter. There was at least 7 or 8 of them from different people, which was odd. It's just weird how that happens. So have you had any input into, or do you have any knowledge of the MIDI looper and the iCarry filter?
Actually, of none of them. I mean, I know they've been working with that stuff because I saw when I was there so near ago. I saw some prototypes going here and there, but I was busy with other stuff, so I couldn't manage to know more. I only know that the MIDI looper is a MIDI looper, and the waver I don't even know the name of the stereo filter, but I think it's based on some previous filter which was probably on the soft pop, but I'm not sure about that.
Right, yeah.
Don't want to say, I really didn't have time to look at this, and that's the quarantine, It's like
so sure, no, absolutely.
It's
well, look, if you have anything else burning to either ask in the chat, or Stefano, if you have anything more to share, quite happy to. Otherwise, maybe we should, as it's getting near to 10 o'clock at our end, must be 11 o'clock your way, we should perhaps bring it to a safe close. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties we had earlier on. It's always, you just have no clue as to how the internet will treat us this evening. It has surprises for us. At my end, sadly, I have a slightly dicky router, which is hopefully being fixed tomorrow, and that caught us out, I think, Sunday night, and again tonight. It's just maddening, absolutely maddening. But what can you do? What can you do? You just keep on going, and thankfully, lovely people watching in the chat have been hanging in there with us, which is great.
There's the probability of a network.
Yeah, I know. What are the odds? What are the flipping odds it'll be during this hour and a half? God darn it. But so yeah, I'm going to spend the day tomorrow ripping out wires and replacing them, and getting lines tested and stuff, because I've had enough. Yeah. So thank you ever so much for spending some time with us this evening. It's been fascinating talking to you, getting a little bit of insight into your way of working and the thoughts behind the Kompas. That's incredibly useful to me. So I will just let people know what's coming up soon. We have tomorrow night Matt Colville, who me and him will sit here hopefully talking in beautiful internetness, talking about getting started in modular, the first sort of choices of modules, what led us down this rabbit hole, how we feel about it, how we relate to it, those sorts of questions. So that'll be fun, particularly if you're new, or you just want to hear about two blokes talking about Eurorack and culture and bits and pieces like that. And then on Sunday night I have Panic Girl Martha Barr here to talk about her performances and what's going on with her, bits and pieces. That should be fun on Sunday night. And then next week I have This Is Not Rocket Science, I've got Tenderfoot, and hopefully Black Corporation. Have I missed anybody out? I don't think so. I think that's it for the minute. So that's coming up. So those are Molten Chats coming up next week. I've also just in the middle of editing the Molten Music Monthly, which should hopefully be out tomorrow with a bit of luck, with my roundup of the Superbooth products. So there we are. So thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks, Stefano. I really appreciate you spending the time, mate. Thanks. That's been brilliant. So you take it easy, and you everybody out there in TV land, take care. Thanks for sticking with us, and we will see you later. Now I have no idea how to end the stream because the YouTube bit has crashed at my end, but I imagine we'll just slowly disappear.